Hilarious episodes of Judge Judy. Judge Judy is a no-nonsense, straightforward judge, but that doesn't stop her from having hilarious people in her courtroom. Today we count down some of those hilarious moments in the courtroom. Remember to tell us which one among them is the most rib-tickling. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Let's get it going. 10. Ryan Moyney vs. Martina Shakrala. Plaintiff Martina Shakrala and defendant Ryan Moyney appeared before the judge for a case involving a check. The defendant was funny right from the onset. To begin with, he had a problem forgetting his ID and had trouble getting into the court because he forgot it. Judge Judy started questioning Ryan about the details of his bank accounts. The guy used "like" in every sentence and threw the judge off. Judge Judy prefers when people use correct grammar when talking to her. Slangs and ad-libs piss her off a lot. She told Ryan to remove the word "like" from his dictionary, and he said, "for sure." Then he said, "like in August." You could see how much he was struggling to avoid the word "like," but he repeated it subconsciously after a few seconds. Then he defended himself by saying, "I said, maybe not like." There was something else hilarious with Ryan. He constantly drank water. Judge Judy had to stop him from taking more water in the courtroom, to which he innocently replied, "I'm thirsty." Finally, she allowed him to sip the glass of water. It was hysterical. One way to annoy Judge Judy is to crosstalk her. Once she puts her finger on her lips, you'd better calm down and listen to her. 9. Robert vs. Viselli. Robert was suing his ex-girlfriend for unpaid loans, car payments, and the return of an iPhone. Viselli countersued for half the cost of an engagement ring. When Robert was making his claim, Viselli interrupted, and the judge warned her that if she did it again, she would dismiss her counterclaim. Well, she did it again, and Judge Judy dismissed the counterclaim. It didn't stop her from interrupting Robert. She probably thought, "I have already lost my end of the claim, I might as well interrupt as much as I can." It got hilarious when Judge Judy had to tell her to keep her mouth shut. The case itself got dismissed because it was also hilarious. Robert was asking Viselli to give him back the money that he gave her 2 years ago before their breakup. I mean, the two were dating, and he also let her use his car and iPhone, so the charge looked like he was only trying to get back at her. Talk about crazy exes. Pet owners also appear in front of Judge Judy when they feel like somebody else mistreated their pet. In other news, did you know that parrots are groomed the way dogs and cats are groomed? 8. Bird monitor. When Judge Judy was asking the questions, the defendant kept shaking her head, and she said, "Stop shaking your head, it's making me dizzy." It wasn't even intense shaking. The plaintiff wrote an ad in the papers looking for a person to look after her bird. She was to provide the equipment, but the ad stated that a Christian was preferred. What would people of other religions possibly do to the bird? Eat it? The ad suggested that she was giving away the bird, but the plaintiff made constant attempts to visit the bird. She later reported that the defendant mistreated the parrot. She also carried pamphlets to the courtroom and kept lifting them every once in a while. Judge Judy made it very clear that once one gives out a pet, it's over, and the courts are too busy to follow up with monitors and private citizens. Parents have a way of knowing when some of their children's friends are bad news. Well, they happen to have lived longer, so they can discern bad behavior from good behavior. 7. The car crash. The Hunters were suing Cody because he wrecked their car. They were at a friend's house when they got into a misunderstanding. Miss Hunter left the driver's seat and sat on the passenger seat. Cody, on the other hand, left the passenger seat and took the wheel. He was drunk, mind you. Charles Hunter said that he warned his daughter about the defendant, who had once shown up drunk with his friend to their home, but she didn't listen. That is when Judge Judy made a hysterical comment. If Charles were completely aware that Cody was the bad company, he would have told his daughter, "You want to go someplace with him? Walk. He is 17. He's a moron." Cody also laughed at the comment. He then admitted to crashing the car, but he didn't want to pay for the damages. Judge Judy threw another hilarious comment his way. "You don't want to pay for the damage. What do you want to do? Join the circus?" Very sarcastic. The kind of toys one buys for their kids speaks a lot about the parent. Some of the toys are quite enabling in terms of bad behavior. 6. The toy gun. Mr. and Mrs. Campbell and their 10-year-old son were suing Mr. and Mrs. Nichols and their 8-year-old son. The defendant's son was playing with the plaintiff's gun when he injured the former in the mouth. Mr. and Mrs. Campbell wanted the defendants to pay for the charges. Mr. Nichols claimed that the two boys were playing rough and it wasn't his fault that one got injured. Judge Judy made it clear to Nathan Nichols that he bought an inappropriate toy for an 8-year-old and it was his duty to pay for the damage. Then she asked him if he understood and he said, "No, Your Honor." Judge Judy responded, "Let me try to explain it to you slower." Mr. Nichols insisted that he was not at fault, and Judge Judy told him not to have any more children. It was hilarious. Then the 8-year-old broke down in tears. Well, she made her verdict and kept the pellet gun. I think it's only reasonable to do a background check on yourself before presenting a case in court. The tables may turn pretty quickly. 5. Unlicensed car owner. Julius Warren admitted that he drove a car without a driver's license. Judge Judy asked him about any other offenses, and the defendant gave her 3 full pages of offenses. The plaintiff didn't see that one coming. Judge Judy laughed out loud when she took her first look. Her laugh is just something else. She read out a couple of the offenses and paused at operating vehicle with a loud system. Judge Judy looked at the guard and then asked him, "Do you know what this means?" Then said, "I do too." The thing was, Julius always kept his car under somebody else's name to avoid criminal charges. Lindsay supposedly damaged the car, and he wanted to be paid for the value of the car. Judge Judy told Julius that she was in no position to help him because he operated for years without a license. She said that if he would come back with a license, then she would rule that the car should be returned to him. Even if it was damaged to a point where it was the size of a calculator, that is what he would get. Hilarious. 1 year is good enough to get over a breakup, right? Well, if you find yourself holding on to the past for so long, you might want to consider getting help. 4. Vandalism. Seth Apodaca admitted that he vandalized his ex-girlfriend's car and he would do it again because she deserved it. When they were together, Seth lost his job and his girlfriend paid for his bills. He also lived in her mother's house. According to Seth, the payments were gifts because they were together. Okay, we must admit that is a point. When he tried to play smart with Judge Judy, she dropped the bombshell on him. I assure you, she may find you attractive, but I do not. Get this, the guy vandalized Christina's car by bricking it 3 times. The reason why he did it is more humorous. Seth said that he found out that his ex-girlfriend was involved with another man 1 year after they broke up. Judge Judy suggested that Seth should get therapy because someone who would do such a thing 1 year after our breakup seriously needed help. A girlfriend scorned is capable of going to extreme measures to prove a point. If you don't believe that, pay close attention to this next case. 3. Bleached Clothes. Brian sued his ex-girlfriend Lahai for damaging his clothes. He said that she poured a bottle of bleach all over his clothes, which cost him thousands of dollars. Lahai claims that she was only pouring bleach on 1 pair of jeans and the rest of the damage was done when he grabbed the bottle. Monica started explaining how it all happened. She left a voicemail for her ex-boyfriend saying that if he didn't get home, something would happen to his clothes. In the middle of explaining with her little attitude, Judge Judy cut her short and asked, "Where do you think you are? The Springer?" And if you know Jerry Springer, you will understand the context of why that case will be perfect for his show. Well, patience is not a virtue Monica had. She continued explaining herself with an attitude, and Judge Judy ruled in favor of the plaintiff and walked out. Some cases barely hold any water, if you know what I mean. The next case on Judge Judy was not just hilarious, but also dumb. 2. Brenda versus Angela. Brenda and Angela were roommates before they had a misunderstanding. Brenda moved out of the house and moved into another house which was costlier than half the amount of the previous house. Brenda wanted Angela to pay the difference between the new rent and her previous rent. Wow. Let's have a moment to digest that, because that is not a case, and Judge Judy made that very clear. If life were so hard on her, she would have moved in with her mother or her friend Natalie, who was so kind to accompany her to court. Honestly, it was a waste of time because I don't understand how she intended to convince the judge that her former roommate was supposed to pay for her difference in rent. The thought of it all is hilarious. Brenda even had a moment when she broke down in the courtroom. Save the tears for something else, honey. This case was ridiculous. Asking for loans is normally not a big deal. Returning the loan is the issue. I saved the best for last, but first I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. So if you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it. It really works. 1. Patrick Price. Patrick worked for a minimum wage from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. He also had a friend who owned a garage and sold used cars for a living, so Patrick had a deal with his friend to purchase one of his cars. The plaintiff offered to give him a certain amount because the car cost way above his paycheck. When they got to the garage, the seller asked for more money than Patrick anticipated. Judge Judy was puzzled because she couldn't understand why he went to the garage without the full amount. She also asked Patrick why he asked a friend to go with him instead of his dad. Judge Judy suggested that Patrick only intended to take advantage of the plaintiff. Also, she said that he is a nice-looking boy and he probably acquired a lot because of his good looks, but he needed to be a nice person like her. Huh? Judge Judy? Nice? Not a chance in hell. The statement itself cracked up the courtroom. Judge Judy then advised Patrick that if he didn't work on being a nice person, he would be a loser, and placed a hilarious loser sign on her forehead and asked, "Did I do that right?" Thanks for watching, and have an excellent day.